I have loved Gideon Holloway for 10 years. I thought he would finally give me a clear answer, but the sudden appearance of a woman shattered all my illusions. Arden, I'm sorry, I like her. You like her. What about me? I watched him silently as this 10-year relationship came to nothing. All right, I'll step back. I never expected that one day he would turn back crying, begging for my forgiveness. I said, sorry, I can't accept that request. The night before Gideon and I were supposed to get engaged, I received a text message from an unknown number. Sister, I'm pregnant with his child. Attached to the message was an ultrasound report clearly showing the fetal sac, with a pink heart-shaped sticker beside it. I was stunned, my hands trembling slightly as I zoomed in on the image. Suddenly, in the bottom right corner, I saw a familiar tattoo, my name in English, on his collarbone. This man was Gideon. Over the years, I knew he had many women in his life, but he always told me they were just flings, and that I was the one he truly loved. Arden, I just talked to the makeup artist, and she said it's best not to drink water the night before the engagement party, as it might cause your face to swell the next day. At that moment, his voice came from the door, interrupting my thoughts. I turned around and saw he had returned. He knew I always loved to dress up and took great care of my appearance, so he had specifically asked the makeup artist about what to watch out for. What was going on? I was a bit surprised and quickly handed him my phone. I've been with him for 10 years, always hoping to have his child, but no matter how hard I tried, I never succeeded. At that moment, the embryo in the woman's womb felt like a sharp knife piercing my heart. He looked down at his phone, saw the text message, and his expression changed slightly. He looked up at me with a half smile. What kind of trash text message is this? Gideon, is this true? I saw a fleeting look of panic in his eyes. Arden, you've always been the one I love the most. He gently stroked my forehead, comforting me patiently. This time, he didn't answer my question directly. My heart tightened. After loving him for 10 years, how could I not understand the deeper meaning behind his words? Why? Why are you doing this to me? I pushed his hand away, forcing a smile, tinged with self-mockery. His touch made me feel uncomfortable. Give me some time. I'll handle this immediately. Okay, he seemed taken aback by my strong reaction and hurriedly grabbed both my hands to comfort me. Seeing him so anxious, I felt like laughing. Over the years, our company had grown significantly, and his social engagements had increased. To leave a good impression on him, I had always been considerate. Even when other women came forward wanting to establish a relationship, I remained calm, persuading them to leave so he wouldn't be put in a difficult position. With a loud thud, he left, watching his receding figure. My heart ached, and I unconsciously scraped the black phone screen with my nails. The phone vibrated again, and a new message appeared on the lock screen. I looked down. It was still that woman. This time, it was a photo of Gideon sleeping with her. Although she only showed one ear, I easily recognized the pearl earring on her earlobe. I paused. That pearl earring. Wasn't that the one Gideon gave me recently? Sister, do you remember this pearl earring? He also gave me one, saying it had to be the same as yours so I wouldn't feel left out. Her words were few, but they felt like a sharp knife, piercing straight into my heart. Anger surged up inside me, and I clenched my fists tightly, causing the phone to slam onto the ground. A crack appeared on the tempered glass screen, like a crack in our relationship. He didn't come back all night. Madam, has the gentleman returned? The butler seemed to have something to say, but stopped himself. Has he not returned yet? I glanced at the clock on the wall, trying to suppress the emotions churning inside me. There were only 10 minutes left before the engagement banquet began. Yes, madam, there are quite a few guests here today. If the master doesn't come back, you might become the topic of conversation. The butler shook his head and sighed. Then let's cancel it. Go explain to the guests that I'm not feeling well and hope they'll understand. At that moment, my eyebrows twitched slightly. Just then, I heard the sound of shaky footsteps in the distance, followed by a voice I recognized from behind me. Arden, I'm back. I turned around and saw that it really was him. I've already told the butler to cancel the engagement party. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. I said coldly. Arden, what's wrong? We agreed, didn't we? Give me some time to handle things, and the engagement banquet will proceed as planned. He froze, didn't wait for me to say anything, and the next moment, he knelt down before me with a thud. I swear I won't make you suffer again. Hearing his words, I hesitated. Can I really trust you again? I remember last night clearly. He told me, you know, I was just fooling around with those other women, but the one I truly love is you. He looked at me with sincere eyes. Please believe me. This time I will never let you down. We will definitely be together again. The butler took the opportunity to wave his hand, signaling someone to bring the wedding dress. Madam, time is running out. All right, I'll believe you one more time. I hesitated for a moment before finally taking the wedding dress. The engagement party arrived as scheduled. Hello, everyone? Thank you very much for coming to this special and joyful occasion, the engagement ceremony of this couple. As the host, I am very happy to share this wonderful moment with you all. The crystal chandelier made my dress sparkle. As I walked down the aisle with Gideon, the butler suddenly rushed over. Sir, you should know about this. After saying that, he handed Gideon's phone to me. I felt a bit nervous and my fingers tightened unconsciously, sensing a hint of unease. Arden, I never expected that after reading the message on his phone. He took a deep breath, furrowed his brows, and then let go of his hand. Today is our engagement banquet. I shook my head and quickly grabbed his arm. I'm sorry, he said, lifting his other hand to gently stroke my head. In that moment, I was completely speechless. Who was the one who just promised me he wouldn't make me sad again? It hadn't even been that long, and he'd already forgotten his promise completely. She's not as strong as you, and she doesn't understand people like you do. If I'm gone and our child is gone, she might not be able to cope. She knows today is our engagement party. Yet she's causing a scene and demanding to hit the child. Arden, she wants to marry me. Seeing that I didn't say anything, he paused for a moment and sighed deeply. I was speechless for a moment, my mind going blank, unable to hear the sounds around me. Suddenly, I realized that I was the one being abandoned. Gideon. I wanted to speak, but no words came out, and I could only stammer out a few sentences. 10 years of my youth, wasted? I never thought I'd be abandoned by him at 30. Arden Whitfield, this is where we part ways. The crystal chandelier's light suddenly dimmed, and the MC's microphone emitted a piercing noise. At that moment, a woman in a silver-gray suit hurriedly walked in. The ultrasound report slipped from her hands and landed on my skirt. Is Gideon abandoning Winslet? She raised her bleeding right hand. With a deep wound on her wrist, Winslet? My heart skipped a beat. I recognized that voice all too well. Upon closer inspection, I froze in shock. Winslet Remington? She was a friend I had recently met, a man I had loved for 10 years. You too? I paused for a moment. Sister, I'm sorry. I couldn't control my feelings for Gideon. She looked at me with red eyes and said, Can you not engage to him? I want to marry him. The scene fell silent, everyone staring at each other. Silly girl. Does it hurt? How could you be so foolish? Gideon felt a sharp pain in his heart, seeing her frown and tightly cover the wound on her wrist. Sister, you won't be angry with me, will you? You're so kind, can you forgive me? She bit her lower lip, tears streaming down her face, seeing her so pitiful. I couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. Winslet, did you plan this? I clenched my fists and rushed forward, pushing her to the ground. Arden, she's such a pure girl. How could you treat her like this? Gideon stepped aside, spread his arms, and stood in front of her. Besides, she's pregnant with my child. Gideon, don't be so harsh on my sister. She only said those things in the heat of the moment. She slowly stood up from the ground, her big eyes flickering as she looked at everyone. Everyone. I know it's wrong for me to meddle in their relationship, but Gideon said he no longer loves my sister. He loves me, so that's why I rushed to get engaged. I was speechless. As a woman, how could I not know what she was thinking? I didn't expect Gideon to protect her so fiercely. Gideon, do you remember what you told me when we eloped? At that moment, my heart ached so much it went numb. Arden stopped joking around. Facing my question, his expression began to darken. Am I joking? I couldn't help but laugh softly, looking at his face, which was so familiar to me. At that moment, memories began to flood back, piece by piece. I no longer remember which night it was. But it was also a rainy night. He wasn't afraid of danger. He climbed over the gate of my house, took advantage of everyone's inattention, and crawled along the wall on all fours to the window of my room. Arden, let's leave together. I'll give you the best life. I hesitated a bit. I had never seen a man risk his life to climb over a wall into my room and speak such brave words for me. At that time, I mustered the courage to follow him from Haicheng to Jiangcheng and fight alongside him. Once upon a time, we lived in a dimly lit, run-down apartment, sharing the moldy moonlight. He had said that the person he loved most was always me, and no one could replace me. But now, he has a child with another woman and wants to break up with me and draw a clear line between us. After some time, I gradually sorted out my thoughts. Your behavior disgusts me. I took a deep breath, my emotions complex. At that moment, Winslet deliberately exposed her bare shoulder, where two English tattoos stood out prominently. They were her and Gideon's English names. We had been together for 10 years, yet she and Winslet had only been together for 2 months. Arden, she's different from you. She's just in her early 20s and has only recently entered society. I know you might feel uncomfortable. He slowly took my hand, as if thinking of something, his brows furrowing slightly. Let's do this. Name your price as compensation for the past 10 years. You've been through a lot with me over the years. I was speechless. Name my price? I never imagined that the 3,650 days I've spent with him would be reduced to a price tag today. Yes, I promise you that whatever price you name, I will give it to you. Everyone here can vouch for that. He nodded. I clenched the hand hanging by my side, trembling slightly. Gideon, is this really okay? Won't this hurt your sister's feelings? Winslet whispered, resting her head on his shoulder. It's fine. She deserves it, he said, lowering his head and gently touching her nose. That's a nice way to put it. This scene made me feel especially heartbroken again. I turned my head away and fought back tears. All right, if we're going to part ways, let's do it completely. I'm 30 years old now. It's time to embrace a new life. Gideon, from now on, I don't want any part of you. I picked up the knife beside me and suddenly slit my shoulder. That year, I had just eloped with him. To express my love for him, I endured the pain and had his name tattooed on my body. The blood flowed out, staining my wedding dress red. What's wrong with you? He was startled, quickly snatched the knife from my hand and frantically pressed against my wound. Ah, Gideon, she's bleeding a lot. I'm scared. Winslet saw this and immediately pulled us apart, rushing into his arms and burying her head in his chest. Gideon, goodbye. At that moment, my heart felt like it was being torn apart, and I was in immense pain. Though my body ached, I pressed down on the wound and resolved to leave. The memories of the past 10 years with him flashed through my mind like a movie. The thousands of days and nights we spent together had turned into moldy film reels. I decided to leave Jiangcheng and asked my best friend and lawyer, Hollis Vandermeer, to help me handle the remaining matters before I left. Since Gideon was offering to buy out my 10 years of experiences, I no longer hesitated. After all, this money was rightfully mine. Hollis, this is a favor I'm asking of you. Based on what I know, our company is worth at least 100 million. I've decided to take 50% of the shares. He's a man of his word. After hearing my story, he immediately flew over from Haicheng. If I had known he'd treat you this way back then, I never would have helped you run away with him. Hollis looked at my wounds, and a fleeting expression crossed his eyes, but it was only for an instant before he grew cold again. Fool, I don't blame you. I sighed and smiled. If I hadn't insisted on eloping with Gideon back then, things might have turned out differently today. But fortunately, all the subsequent procedures went smoothly. Unexpectedly, on the morning I was preparing to leave Jiangcheng, a urgent ring at the door woke me up. When I opened the door, it was Winslet. She said to me, Arden, don't be too much. She glared at me with a cold look in her eyes. What? Are you causing trouble over that money so early in the morning? I rolled my eyes. I'm still recovering from my injuries and don't want to argue with her. But she went crazy, grabbing my hair violently. Ah, when her nails scraped my scalp, I couldn't help but scream. Arden, what's going on? Hollis, who was in the room, heard my scream and rushed out without even putting on her clothes. Winslet saw this and her eyes lit up, tightening her grip on me. I tried to break free, but it was no use. How dare you? Hollis's eyes narrowed, and without hesitation, she rushed forward and kicked her in the stomach. She lost her balance and fell heavily to the ground. Oh, my child, she said, her pants immediately stained with blood. Her child might not survive. At that moment, a very familiar voice came from behind. Winslet? Gideon rushed in, his face flushed, and picked her up from the ground. Arden, how could you be so cruel? I already promised you shares. Why hurt her? Why won't you let her go? He glared at me angrily. Gideon, don't take it out on her. The problem is with me. It was my foot that kicked her stomach. It has nothing to do with Arden. Hollis pushed me aside without hesitation. I was taken aback. I was the one who had been attacked, but in his eyes, Winslet seemed like an innocent little girl. You better pray my child is okay. He turned around hurriedly and walked away angrily. As soon as he left, the atmosphere around us relaxed a bit. Arden, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere else? Hollis looked at me with concern, his eyes filled with tenderness. then helped me sit down on the sofa. The struggle earlier must have reopened the wound that had just begun to heal, and a warm flow slowly trickled out from the wound. Your wound has reopened, don't move. Let me take care of it, he frowned, looked down at my wound, and immediately ran to get the first aid kit. Holly's. I'm fine. It's just that Gideon's child is gone. We might run into some trouble. I couldn't help but grab his hand and shake my head. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Even if the sky falls, I'll protect you. Holly smiled and gently wiped the red corners of my eyes. His words made me feel at ease, and my heart suddenly calmed down. Thank you. I never thought that after all these years he would still be by my side. If you really want to thank me, why not give yourself to me? At that moment, his deep, dark eyes sparkled with a hint of light, and his brows revealed a determined expression. I was taken aback. It wasn't until that moment that I realized he had secretly liked me all along. Winslet's child was gone, and Holly's and I were blocked at the front door by Gideon. Arden, I never expected that after we'd been apart for so long, you'd already found someone new. Gideon sneered, his facial muscles twitching slightly. Why did you have to choose Holly's of all people? What does it matter? I looked at him indifferently and smiled faintly. Seeing my indifferent expression, he grew furious, his eyes turning red. He suddenly grabbed my wrist and glared at me coldly. Are you serious? What about me? Have you already forgotten all our memories from the past 10 years? I furrowed my brows and struggled to pull my hand away. What was he doing? Could it be that something had happened to Winslet's child, and he was coming to find me through old connections? Unfortunately, I didn't want to go back. I'm with Holly's now. I took a step back and stood behind Holly's. You? His expression changed slightly, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. All right. I didn't expect someone was backing you up, giving you the nerve to speak so confidently. I was taken aback by his words. Gideon, have you forgotten that in High City? The Whitfield family is highly respected. I smiled, crossed my arms, and looked at him. Back then, my parents didn't approve of us being together because they looked down on you. Didn't they? Sure enough, my words hit a nerve. You, Arden, he turned pale with anger. I'll tell you, you're the murderers. You're the ones who ruined my life. If you don't leave now, I'll have to call the police. Holly's feared he might harm me, so he quickly grabbed his arm and pushed him out with a loud slam. He was locked out by Holly's. Don't worry, I'm here. I'll protect you. I won't let him hurt you. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have dragged you into this, fool. I'd take anything for you. You don't need to rush to respond to my feelings, but I hope you'll think about me seriously. He didn't get angry, instead. He smiled and pulled me into his arms. Suddenly so close, my heartbeat slowed down. However, now that Winslet's child is gone, he won't let us off easily. I looked up at him, not knowing why, and closed my eyes, only to see Gideon's angry face. Although he did something that disappointed me, Winslet was carrying his child. All these years, he had always wanted his own child. Now that he finally had his own child, this had happened. The child in Winslet's womb wasn't his. I froze. It turned out that after Holly's investigation, I finally understood that when Winslet and I first met, she had been in a long-term relationship with another man. One day, they pretended to have a heated argument, and the man kicked her out of their rental apartment. This wasn't the first time Winslet and her boyfriend had done this. Meanwhile, Holly's laid out all the documents he had collected on the table. When I saw the table covered with photos of me and Gideon, I was speechless. You and Gideon had already been targeted by them. Winslet wanted to separate you two so she could secure her position as Mrs. Holloway and benefit from it. Holly's shook his head gently, his tone tinged with resignation. Suddenly, memories flooded back into my mind. That day, I went to the mall to buy something. But when I was about to pay, I realized my wallet had been stolen. Sister, let me pay for you. Winslet appeared just in time to save me from the awkward situation. We chatted and exchanged contact information. I even introduced Gideon to her. Arden, remember to stay vigilant when dealing with people. Always keep your guard up. The next day, to avoid trouble, he booked the earliest flight. While he was out buying breakfast, I quickly packed my luggage. Unbeknownst to me. As soon as he left, Winslet burst in with a group of men. Grab her? Before I could react, the men behind her rushed forward, ignoring my struggles, and quickly pressed a towel soaked in sedative over my mouth and nose. Let me go? I struggled desperately. This is so frustrating. You've ruined my chance to make money. Winslet saw this and kicked my knee with her foot. Soon, my vision began to blur, and I slowly lost consciousness. I don't know how much time passed. When I woke up again, I found myself in an underground warehouse, with my hands and feet chained to the ground, unable to move. She was sitting in front of me, smoking a cigarette and staring at me. "You're awake." I tried to struggle, but it was completely useless. At that moment, the light above my head was blinding, and I instinctively turned my head to avoid it, accidentally colliding with the rusty iron frame, causing a loud clang. "What do you want to do? I'm telling you, the entire Whitfield family is behind me. If you dare to harm me, my parents won't let you off easily." At that moment, I felt a strong sense of unease. "Arden, do you think your parents would support you? You've been away from the Whitfield family for so long, and they've never contacted you." She gave a cold smile, her eyes filled with disdain. It seemed that she had made thorough preparations before kidnapping me. After Holly's investigation, I learned that Winslet already had a long-term boyfriend when she met me. One day, they pretended to have a fight, and the guy kicked her out of the apartment. Winslet and her boyfriend had done this multiple times before. Meanwhile, Holly's laid out all the collected information on the table. When I saw the table covered with photos of me and Gideon, I couldn't help but gasp. You and Gideon had already become their targets. Winslet wanted to break you two up to secure Mrs. Holloway's position and ensure her boyfriend was taken care of. Holly's shook his head helplessly. Suddenly, my memory flooded back. That day, I was shopping at the mall and about to pay when I realized my wallet had been stolen. "Sister, let me help you?" Winslet appeared just in time to save me. That's how we ended up chatting and exchanging contact information. I even introduced Gideon to her. "Arden, remember, you can never be too careful. Always stay vigilant." The next day, to avoid trouble, he booked the earliest flight. While he was out buying breakfast, I quickly packed my bags. But as soon as he left, Winslet burst in with her men. "It's her? Grab her." As soon as she finished speaking, the men behind her rushed forward, completely ignoring my struggles, and quickly covered my mouth and nose with a cloth soaked in a chemical substance. "Let me go?" I struggled desperately. "This is too much. You've ruined my chance to make money." Winslet kicked me in the knee. Soon, my vision blurred and I began to lose consciousness. I don't know how long it was before I woke up again, only to find myself in an underground warehouse, my hands and feet chained, unable to move. She was sitting in front of me, smoking, staring at me. "You're awake." I tried to struggle, but it was completely useless. At that moment, the overhead lights shone like needles, and I instinctively turned my head to avoid them, accidentally bumping into the rusty iron frame, causing a clanging sound. "What do you want?" "I'm telling you, I have the entire Whitfield family behind me. If you dare to do anything to me, my parents won't let you off easily." At that moment, a strong sense of unease welled up inside me. "Arden, do you think your parents would support you? You've been away from the Whitfield family for so long, and they haven't contacted you at all." She gave a cold smile, her eyes filled with disdain. "It seems that before kidnapping me, she knew you very well." As soon as she finished speaking, there was a creaking sound and a short-haired man walked in. He had a dark red patch on his left cheekbone, extending to his ear, with irregular red edges. "I can't take it anymore. I'm in so much pain. Stop wasting time with her and call Gideon right now to get the money to ransom her." "If I'm not mistaken, this man is Winslet's boyfriend. Darling, don't get angry. Let me get you some ice to apply to it, okay?" Seeing his reaction, she quickly walked over to him and comforted him gently. Unexpectedly, the man didn't buy it at all. He kicked her to the ground with one foot, glaring at her with eyes burning with anger. "If it weren't for you, how would I have ended up like this at the hands of Gideon's men? Dear, I didn't know things would turn out like this either." She swallowed nervously and crawled desperately to his feet. "I'm telling you, if you don't handle this properly, I won't let you off easily." He coldly snorted and kicked her again. After that, he didn't say another word to her and turned to leave. Winslet watched the man leave, cleared her throat, and called for someone to bring a chair. She sat down in front of me, crossed her legs, and looked at me. "Arden, if it weren't for you causing my child's death, you wouldn't be tied up here. I hope you don't blame me. PFFT, I'm the victim here, yet they're acting like they're the ones in the wrong. Come on, give me my phone." She turned to the people around her and had them bring my phone over. Then she dialed Gideon's number in front of me and said, "Tell Gideon to bring 5 million to ransom you. Otherwise, you're in danger." "Then just kill me. I'd rather die than tell you." I steeled myself. At this point, I couldn't let her succeed. "All right, if you won't say it, I'll say it for you. She seemed to have anticipated this, smiled, and walked out with the phone. The meaning of those words was that those who approach darkness become dark, and those who approach light become light. When she left, the men at the scene looked at me with a different expression. Big brother, look at this girl. She's got a great figure, why don't we? I've never tried this type before. As they talked more excitedly, my heart raced faster. I couldn't just sit here waiting. I had to find a way to escape. Then, a bold idea flashed through my mind. Everyone, I have an idea I'd like to discuss with you. I clenched my fists tightly, trying to stay calm. What's wrong? What does the beauty have to say? Sure enough, my words piqued their curiosity. A tattooed man raised an eyebrow, walked over to me, knelt down, and gently lifted my chin with his finger. You should know that kidnapping is illegal, right? If you let me go, I'll give each of you $1 million. How about it? I struggled to suppress my inner anxiety. $1 million? You mean each of us gets $1 million? The tattooed man's eyes lit up with excitement upon hearing this. Yes, if you get $1 million, you'll all be rich. Then you can have any woman you want and your families can live a good life. More importantly, you won't have to do those illegal things anymore. I noticed he was starting to waver and sighed in relief. You're not lying to us, are you? The tattooed man narrowed his eyes slightly. Seeming to doubt me, as long as you help me to make them believe me, I leaned close to his ear and told him my plan. He seemed a bit hesitant. The brothers behind him were already getting impatient. As soon as they heard that everyone would get $1 million, they started getting excited. Big brother, decide quickly. That's a whole million. I've always wanted to feel what it's like to be a millionaire. All right, he agreed. Soon, the tattooed man helped me break free from the chains. When Winslet walked in unguarded, I gave a signal to the men beside me. The two men were quick to act, one covering her mouth with a towel while the other tied her hands with a rope. What are you doing? Let me go, she was panicking. Her eyes wide with fear, not knowing what to say. Winslet, what does it feel like to be kidnapped? How does it feel? I gently stroked her hair. No. No, no, she shook her head violently, tears welling up in her eyes. She looked like an innocent little flower, deceiving me and also tricking Gideon. However, thanks to her, I finally understood Gideon's true nature. Oh, she suddenly started crying softly, her eyes filled with tears as she looked at me. Sis, what are we going to do with this woman? The tattooed boy crossed his arms and stood beside me, asking, There's another man outside, bring him in. I said slowly, At this critical moment we can't let her lover escape, got it? The tattooed man nodded and turned to leave. Soon, he brought the man inside. Hey, I really underestimated you. The man gave a cold smile, looking unconvinced. What should I do with you two? I deliberately grabbed the knife beside me and lightly drew it across Winslet's shoulder. There's something on your shoulder, it's pretty bothersome. Why don't I help you remove it? Arden, please be magnanimous and forgive me, this tattoo is actually fake. We spent a lot of money on a realistic-looking tattoo sticker just to trick Gideon. She hurriedly explained. It's fake? I was taken aback, feeling a lump in my throat. At that moment, her words made me feel like a joke. Arden, I really made a mistake. Please spare me, she said, suddenly lowering her head and banging it on the ground, repeating those words over and over. Before I could react, several police officers burst in through the door, weapons in hand, staring at us. Don't move. Arden, Gideon and Hollis shouted simultaneously at the door. I turned around and saw it was indeed them. As long as you don't hurt her, I'll give you anything you want. The tension on Hollis's face was something I had never seen before. The man became even more agitated upon hearing this. How dare you? How could I possibly give you face? Even if I have to die, I will go with you. The arrival of the police made the man even more agitated. He suddenly broke free from the tattooed man's grip, stood behind me and grabbed my neck tightly. Come on, if you dare to kill me, I'm not afraid to die. He shouted wildly, Don't do this? Gideon grew anxious. My face is like this because of you. If you want her to be okay, come over here and switch places with her. The man raised his eyebrows, challenging him. All right, I'll go. This time, Gideon didn't hesitate. Gideon, I called out to him, it's okay. Gideon comforted me while walking over, but we didn't expect the man's hatred. As soon as he touched the man's arm, the man stabbed him in the abdomen without hesitation. His blood suddenly flowed down, splattering onto my face. Gideon? I rushed to help him. The police officers behind us saw the situation and immediately rushed forward, pinning the man to the ground. The man didn't resist. Instead, he laughed wildly, looking at Gideon lying in a pool of blood. You have to hold on. I nervously covered his wound. Although I disliked him, I didn't want him to die. Arden, does your wound still hurt? He managed a weak smile. His blood was flowing quickly, the stark contrast between white and red was jarring and striking. It doesn't hurt anymore, I sniffed, my voice trembling. I understood that he was leaving. Arden, I'm sorry, I couldn't find the words. 10 years of companionship had ended this way. Epilogue. After Gideon's death, Winslet and her accomplices were also arrested. Actually, after Winslet's miscarriage, Gideon noticed something unusual and had her past investigated, which revealed her true identity. In a fit of rage, he had that man's face disfigured, which is why I was kidnapped. Arden, I'm so glad you're okay, otherwise I'd never forgive myself. Hollis is still thinking about leaving that morning. I'm fine, but I can't help but think about him. At least he had a shred of conscience in the end. Sigh, take it easy. Everything was meant to be. Hollis knew what I was thinking and gently patted my shoulder to comfort me. That's right, everything is fate. If he hadn't realized the problem and called the police to save me, who knows what would have happened. Perhaps I was the one who was supposed to leave. Uncle and Auntie miss you very much. Come home soon. Later, I returned to Haicheng and started a new life with Hollis. Mom and Dad, I'm back. This time, I made up my mind and rang the doorbell. I thought my parents wouldn't forgive me so quickly, but to my surprise, they rushed over with joyful expressions. As long as you're back, that's all that matters. Your mother and I were so worried when we heard about your accident. We owe Hollis a lot. He promised us he'd get you out safely. Don't be so reckless in the future. I smiled and went back to my room. To my surprise, when I opened the door, I saw the walls covered with photos of me over the years, and a warm feeling washed over me. Do you remember this moment? My father pointed to a photo with a blue frame and asked me. I reached out and gently touched it. This happened when I was 24, working part-time at a convenience store. At the time, I thought I had encountered a strange person, so I quit the next day. It wasn't until that moment that I realized the man, wearing a baseball cap behind the cash register, wasn't a pervert. He was my father. Dad, I suddenly understood that Mom and Dad had always remembered me. They had been quietly watching over my life in their own way all along.